Hey everybody, welcome to another podcast. This week's podcast is pretty cool. I love fitness, as you guys know, and martial arts. So whether it's Muay Thai, Jiu-Jitsu, I love MMA, I love watching it. We've got a great guest on from Gracie Barra, North Phoenix, Professor Johnathan Rodrigues, also known as Professor Jojo. A great professor. I learn a lot from him, not just on the mat, but off the mats as well. He's a great ambassador for Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. So for all you guys out there that are on the fence thinking about it, for the ladies out there looking to get some defensive protection, learn that new skill, this is a great interview and it's great for you guys. So I hope you guys enjoy it. And without further ado, Professor Jojo.
Going up, going up, going up, going up, going up, going up. Get it that I'm never going up, going up, going up, going up, going up, going up.
Welcome to another podcast. I have a fantastic guest today. He is a very renowned Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu professor, Professor Johnathan Rodrigues, also known as Professor Jojo here at Gracie Barra, North Phoenix. And I got the honor of meeting him when I came over to Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu almost about a year ago now. But Professor, you have a long list of accolades and awards that you've gotten throughout the years of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu competition. And I'm just going to list a couple of them, okay? Because I know it's super long. So list titles include 2023 IBJJF Phoenix Open Bronze Medalist, the 2023 NAGA Champion, the 2022 CompNet National Champion, the LBJJ Pan American Champion in 2019. And you can see, if you get on the graciebarra.com North Phoenix, Professor Jojo has a long list of winning. So he's very good at his craft. And welcome to the podcast, Professor.
Man, it's a pleasure to be here, Ernie. It's a great environment to be around you, great energy. Like I was talking to your friends at the beginning of the podcast. You're in great condition, great health, always good energy, and it's always good to be around you.
I appreciate that. Well, we'll start off just talking about kind of your where you got in, because you got into Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu very young.
Yes.
And can you just describe kind of your journey through BJJ?
Yeah, so I started training Jiu-Jitsu back in Brazil. Mm-hmm. So I was around 10 to 11 years old. Mm-hmm. And I was looking into losing weight. I was very chubby at the age.
Really?
Yes.
Wow, hard to believe.
I was looking into losing weight, and it was my jiu-jitsu school was back in a facility that had like a pool, workout place. It was kind of like a little condom over there that had a little bit of everything, right? So I stopped. I walked by. I saw the jiu-jitsu happening at the moment. It caught my attention, and I went through the door, and that's where it all began.
Did you catch on like right away, like, oh, this is what I want to do?
I was horrible.
Really?
Yeah.
Really? But what kept you coming back?
It was the motivation of proving to myself that I can do it. Mm-hmm. So at such a young age, we tend to get things easier, right? We have our parents around and people supporting us, but I saw that it wasn't that easy. And it was very easy to say, I don't want to do this, So it was inside of me. I wanted to say I wanted to quit, but I wanted to prove to myself that I can do something and not quit, So it's not easy. You do it yourself. It's a daily challenge. Every day is something different that could happen, and that's where it began, So I wanted to prove myself that I couldn't stop and I couldn't quit, mm-hmm. And I'm here, and many years now pass, and I'm still here training, still here trying to improve myself, and that's about it.
Tell me about those early years, because my mom is half Thai. I'm half Thai. My mom is full Thai. I have a half brother who was like a very good Muay Thai kickboxer. Uh-huh. But for him, he talked about it. He goes, that was my job. like in Thailand, you know, it was very poor. So
Yes.
he's like, that's how I made money. Was I went to do Muay Thai and compete, and I earned money, and that was my job. Is it similar in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu where you can compete and make it? Is it a way of earning money, I guess?
Yes and no. So in Brazil, what happens is that once we have the passion of training and not doing it for a hobby, you start doing it as an athlete, right? So what drives for you to continue to go is for you to compete and help on the classes and try to get to a world champion scenario. But it is very difficult to live through jiu-jitsu in Brazil.
Is it?
It is.
How so?
It's because the cost of living there is very, very high, and you don't get paid enough to maintain, to sustain a family and sustain a house. So rent's high, food is high, everything is high. So for you I say it a lot. So I'm blessed to take care of a facility like Gracie Barra, North Phoenix. I'm blessed to have do what I love and be able to take care of my family, right? Because in Brazil, it's hard. You know, it's if you don't open up a facility that's yours, that you're not going to have to pay rent and all that, it's very difficult to continue your journey as an athlete and as a professor as well.
So there's less opportunity, you
Yes.
think, to open up?
Yes.
So was that the motivation to come to the U.S.
Yes.
to open up?
Yes.
Okay. So, you know, in my short journey in Gracie Barra, there are several, I guess, schools for Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Can you take us back? And we always talk about, you know, you're always preaching our lineage
Yes.
through the origination. Can you just kind of, for the audience, step through that may not know, like our lineage from, you know, Japan, where it was basically founded and how it moved through?
Yeah, so it started back in Japan with Master Maeda. He came to Brazil to teach Carlos Gracie Sr., right? Carlos Gracie Sr. Understood the art more, the self-defense art, right? Not the sport of jiu-jitsu that is today. After that, he has Carlos Gracie Jr. Carlos Gracie has the kids, right? Elio Gracie. Elio Gracie starts teaching jiu-jitsu through the family. And then through our legacy wall at the school, we have Rose Gracie, that is part of the family as well, all in Brazil. And after that, passes on to Master Carlos Gracie Jr., right, who is the founder of Gracie Barra at the moment right now. So it started something from Japan, the person comes from Japan, teaches jiu-jitsu to a Brazilian, right? The Brazilian has a kid, and then he has multiple kids in the family that he starts teaching something for only his family. After that, Rose Gracie comes in the scenario, right? And he starts trying to go to other arts like wrestling, sanda, Muay Thai, and starts trying to understand their art using jiu-jitsu. And that's how jiu-jitsu becomes worldwide the way it is, because of Rose Gracie.
Yeah, I was going to say, because, you know, me growing up, you know, I did the traditional Kempo karate when I was a kid, and then my brother actually came over when I was in high school. And, you know, I was a college or a high school athlete, so I was playing football, and I thought it was tough. He was about 130 pounds. I'm at the time maybe 160, 65 pounds, you know, lifting every day. And I could just out-muscle him. But I remember he was so quick, so fast at his art, and it made me go, wow. I thought karate was, you know, it's a great art, but it opened my eyes to, oh, there's another art. And then when I went in the military, I started learning more about Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and I was very interested in it, but I just never took the leap of jumping into it.
Yes.
But I did notice its rise in popularity.
Yes, a lot. From the past 5 years, it's been growing like so much. It's very exciting to see what jiu-jitsu is going to be in the next 5 years.
It is. What do you attribute that rise in popularity to? Do you think it's the UFC? Do you think it's...
I think it's the UFC. I think it's all of the people that is very strong, and the social media is doing it as well. So we have a lot of famous actors, famous people that started doing jiu-jitsu.
Yeah, I saw a clip of Mark Zuckerberg.
Yes.
He's like really good, actually. He's
And you get Mario Lopez as well doing
Mario
jiu-jitsu,
Lopez,
jiu-jitsu
right.
as well. So I think people started looking up to these people like the way they are, and seeing that jiu-jitsu is beneficial, right, for their health. And we're in an era right now that a lot of people are starting to take care of their health. Compared to like a couple years back, people are not as careful. I can see that, and it's growing a lot. It's like unbelievable even for us that teach jiu-jitsu. It's from an athlete standpoint, you can see the kids are starting their professional career at such a young age. At my time, it was like you started at 10, and then you had your best part of your career was like at 15, 16 years old.
Oh, really?
That's when you started to grow into the sport. You started to understand, compete, and then most likely those kids that were at the 15, 16 years mark, they would be, if they continued, they will be the next like world champion, and those are the kids that I compete until today. So it's the same kids that I compete at since I was 16 years old. But nowadays, you get these kids that are like 8 years old, 7 years old, living a lifestyle of a professional athlete.
right.
So like it's very exciting to see what jiu-jitsu can be in an athlete standpoint, and a jiu-jitsu career as well in the next 5 years.
What do you think especially in kind of the more common sports like football, baseball, hockey, especially hockey, they're putting their kids on skates like at 4 or 5 years old while they could barely start walking. They put them on skates. What do you think a good age to start Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu would be?
I think at least at the school, what we do is we start at the age of 3 and 4.
Wow.
And the reason why is I think I have a 5-year-old myself, so at this age, they're still learning how to coordinate themselves.
Yeah.
They're still learning how to hold their body, and they're falling. So the quicker they learn that when they fall, that's everything's gonna be okay, and they're not gonna get hurt. They can stand up and continue to walk, the better. So I think if they start at the age of 3 and 4, and continue to motivate them to keep coming, and not putting them as like something that they have to do, and they're enjoying, by 5, 6, 7, 8, they already have like very good technique. At least we have those kids at the school. We have these kids that are 7, 8, 9 years old that they have like amazing technique. That we're excited to see them at the age of 16, 15, 18 years old. And it's part of their lifestyle right now.
Yeah, I've noticed that when I come in with my daughters, I see the little ones out there rolling, in the competition class. And I'm like, wow, they are absolutely incredible. Just the flow that they have, and they're just practicing on each other.
Exactly.
And it's almost like a dance. Like they're dancing with each other when I walk in. I see, it's just a beautiful thing, and I'm blown away by it because I've never had that.
Yeah, and not only of them learning how to like have balance and practicing all these things. I think what the values that they learn on the mats, they're gonna take it for the rest of their lives.
That's true.
The friendships that they're gonna make on the mats, they're gonna take it for the rest of their life, right? So if you think about it, those friends that you had in high school and junior high, you don't see them anymore. But the friends that you make on the mats, you see them daily.
Yeah.
So I think that's much more than just learning the art. It's the values that comes with it.
Yeah, I like that. You're always preaching because you are the head instructor at Gracie Barra. So you're always, at the end of class, you're always giving us a review. You're always giving us something to take away when we're done rolling. I mean, it's very physical. We're tired, but you're always leaving that piece of nugget of, hey, think about this today, or understand this, and this is why we do this. So I like that takeaway that we have at the end of class when we go home, so you think about it. But man, interesting. How many? You see everybody coming in. What are the percentages? Are there more younger kids joining than, say, guys my age, older, been established a little bit?
So it varies. We have our kids program is very, very strong at the school. So we have a lot of kids. So the percentage of the kids, it's more than 1/3 of the school. Then we come the adults, and then we have the women's, right? So, but what happens is that the kids start training, and then the parents start training.
Yeah.
Because we're such a family-oriented facility that we care about that, and we understand that it's something for the family to do together and to keep them united, right? So we had COVID that we passed through, and a lot of us felt it, because I trained jiu-jitsu for my entire, half of my life. I trained jiu-jitsu. You work out every single day. You train. You're always in shape, right? And then COVID hits, and what kept us together was jiu-jitsu. What kept us together at that time was the camaraderie and the people that we have together.
Yeah.
So that's why we see that it's so important for the entire family for them to train.
You mentioned family a couple of times, and that word gets thrown around a lot in I'll just say it, CrossFit gyms. A lot of the gyms that I used to frequent. But I will have to say, just in my experience, it's just me talking. Walking into Gracie Barra, North Phoenix, it feels like, no kidding, like a family. I walk in, Professor Daniel, we're hugging, we're like, hey, how's it going? All the, from Coach Russ, everybody, it feels like when you're gone and you come back, it's like, oh, you're back. Hey, how you doing? Like a family member that's gone away to work or, traveled and to come back. That's the feeling that I get when I come to the school. I feel that walking in, and then I want to tell my other friends. I've brought a couple of friends over now that are doing Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. What do you think? Is that just deeply rooted in Brazilian culture? Is that kind of what is brought over?
Yes.
Okay.
And not only that, when you train jiu-jitsu, right? It requires, you never thought about this for sure, but it requires a lot of trust into the person.
No, it does.
Right?
Sure.
So
last thing I could do is get hurt, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So you're training with this person, that you have never seen before, and he's on your back, choking you out. So what guarantees that he's going to let go? Trust.
Trust.
What guarantees that makes a family strong? Trust.
Correct.
And then we have the culture on top of it. So I've in my perspective is it's the culture, but it's the trust and the values, like I said, that brings on the mats, right? You really have to trust the person that's next to you.
Yeah, that's true.
And trust takes a long time to build, and in a snap it goes away, right? But the values that presents on the mats shows us that we can become better human beings on the mats. So that's why the facility over there feels like that.
Yeah.
We're training jiu-jitsu, we're doing what we love, we're having fun, we're caring about each other, we're making sure no one gets hurt, and we really miss you guys when you guys don't show up,
Yeah. It's funny, we talk about family, we talk about, rolling with each other, and it's really, when we're sparring with each other, we're fighting each other, right? Like there's a switch, and we're not doing it maliciously, but we're putting everything we got into rolling. And what's great about that, and what's really developed for me just over these past few months, is I can roll as hard as I can, trying to work on my jiu-jitsu technique. And, my training partner is doing the same thing. We're catching each other in arm bars or triangles or something like that. And at the end, we're laughing, we're joking, we're hugging. It's just, I've never really understood that fine line of you can go as hard as you can, obviously without trying to hurt it. But at the end of it, the switch turns off, and it's just, you're wrestling with your brothers and sisters. Right?
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. That's interesting. What would you tell someone that may be on the sidelines? I was doing another sport, another martial art, and I was always curious. And what pushed me over the edge was you guys were really close to the airport originally. And I kept driving by, and we're having some hangars built over there. And I'm like, man, I'm just going to go in and try it. What do you think? What is, I guess, for someone that's on the fence, what could you talk to them about?
I think that they have to click the switch. It's, I'm going to do it. Today, it's my day to show up. We face that every single day, the moment that we're going to jiu-jitsu, or the moment that we're going to work, or when our alarm goes off in the morning and we have to wake up, right? It's, if they don't try it, they're never going to know if that's something that they will do.
Yeah.
So like anything in life, you have these certain foods that people say, try this, try that. You have to try it. Because once they try it, if they really, really like it, they're going to see, they won't see the values immediately. They'll see the values by time, but they're going to see that they're capable of doing it.
Yeah.
Sometimes the doubt comes in the head. They're like, am I really capable, or am I too young, or am I too old, or is this really something for me? We praise this every single day. Jiu-jitsu is for everyone. If everyone did jiu-jitsu, the world will be a better place.
Yeah.
So I think that they just have to pull the trigger and come through the door.
Give it a try. Yeah, I agree. And I especially agree with bringing your kids in, because, it's a crazy world right now. And, if they have a place that's rooted in discipline and challenges all the time, I try not to help my kids out, as bad as that sound, on everything, right? Because I want them to feel that struggle. I want them to feel the challenge. And I think, with my kids going to jiu-jitsu, they're experiencing that, because
Every day.
I experienced that, right? Like, I came in and I'm like, God, I suck. I really am not good at this. So, but, something in you is like, I'm going to get better. I went today, my jiu-jitsu's this much better.
Exactly.
If I go tomorrow, it's going to be that much better, and maybe over a month, it'll be this much better. Over a year, it'll be this much better. But every day you get better. And I think that's a really good skill set to give kids, to know that, hey, when you show up, you're not going to be good. You just won't. But if you show up every day and you put in the effort, you're going to get better every day. And if you look back a year from now, you're going to see this journey of much like everything in life, that's teaching them life skills. Right?
Exactly.
So, so a shout out to all the kids that are going to jiu-jitsu right now. That's an amazing thing. What do you see our school? How do you see our school in the future? Like, what do you see our growth?
I see our school in the future with the people that we have, from students to coaches all the way up to professors, is that we're just in the beginning. We might have a lot of students in the moment, and a lot of people coming in through the door. The mats are always packed, but the energy that we have at the school right now, it's unbelievably great. We have like Professor Daniel, Professor Efren, we have Coach Russ, Coach Steven at the school.
Can you break that down? Because I think this is something that's different in a lot of other martial arts. Is our coaches are not black belts.
No.
That's why they're listed as coaches. The professors are the black belts.
belts.
So even to a blue belt can be a coach. Can you explain just that little portion?
Yes. So for the coaches, they can be from blue belt all the way to brown belt, right? We have in Gracie Barra instructor certification program that we will teach them everything that they know. They will get there to teach a class. They will get their background checked. They will study the history of jiu-jitsu in Gracie Barra. And they will not only do the tests on the computer, but they will have to be evaluated teaching a class. So I'll be the person evaluating them, making sure they get A, B, or C. What did they have to improve daily to be a good coach? And then we have our professors that are black belts, that have experience as well, pass through the ICP as well, that will be leading the class. So the kids program, we have a lot of coaches that lead the class. And then the adults program, we have our black belts leading the class as well.
Gotcha. I equate it, it's kind of an aviation podcast as well. equate it to our certified flight instructors.
Mm-hmm.
So these are the instructors that come up through the program. They get their private, their instrument, their commercial, their multi-engine, and then they get a CFI. This can happen within a period of 1 year.
Mm-hmm.
So once they get their CFI, it's certified flight instructor, they maybe have 200, 300, probably about 300 hours, a little less. And now they're instructing the next people coming up in their private instrument commercial. So it's very similar, I guess, in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, where the instructors learn so much by teaching. Because they're teaching the concepts and the technique, and they get better at it. So
I started teaching myself when I was 15 years old. So I was only a blue belt, and I was teaching, and that made me grow so much, like you have mentioned, because you're there taking care of someone else. It's not yourself. So if you don't really understand what you're doing, you have to understand what you're doing.
Right.
You know, so
it's
good.
another way to be safe too.
Exactly.
To understand, how to do these, because you could see it like, on social media, you see all these crazy techniques going on. Well, if you don't do them, if you don't understand them correctly, you can hurt your opponent by doing that. Right. So I think it's important to really understand, if you're going to teach it, to really understand what you're teaching.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
What is the typical journey of a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu student?
A typical journey of a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu student is they're going to come, right? They're going to start their fundamental class at our GB1 program. They're going to stay there until technically whenever they want. And then after their third stripe, right, that's after our curriculum that has 16 weeks. After their third stripe, they passed everything. They're able to spar, right? They enter phase number 2. That is our GB2 program.
So, and GB1 teaches all the fundamentals.
Exactly.
Of jiu-jitsu.
It teaches our self-defense, right, using this, the self-defense and the sport of jiu-jitsu ground technique. So it's where it's going to teach you all the fundamental parts of jiu-jitsu. And that's going to take you about 16 weeks. After that, you enter the GB2 program, right? You have your third stripe. It's the takedown portion, right? You're not working on self-defense as much, but you're working on your takedowns, right? And a little bit more advanced techniques. After you get your blue belt, right? It's gonna take. You have your third stripe. You're gonna pass through the curriculum one more time, 16 more weeks. Total minimum of a year. You're able to enter the GB3 program, is where our advanced classes, right? So it's blue belts and up. That's where you're gonna really excel your jiu-jitsu, right? And after you're in the GB3 program, you're gonna excel jiu-jitsu towards your black belt. After your black belt, you're gonna keep excelling. You're gonna keep excelling, working very hard to get your stripes. You know, the first year, it's the first 3 years you get your first stripe. Then the 6 years you get your second stripe, right? So it starts going slowly like that until you're able to get your red color belt.
Gotcha. I think what some of the things, at least when I was very young, I was always worried about, like, am I progressing fast enough? And I think being older and having a little bit of history behind me, I understand now that don't worry about how fast these stripes come. Worry about how fast you're absorbing and understanding the material and how your technique is going. Because the last thing you want to do is promote somebody into a position they're not ready for, and they really get hurt or something else happens. So I think I hear it from a lot of younger folks in jiu-jitsu is like, oh man, I need to go faster because my friend just got promoted, I didn't get promoted yet. Like, don't worry about that. It's gonna come when the professor feels you're ready, and that's their job. Like a CFI on, giving someone a write-off to go take a check ride. They're not gonna do that unless you're absolutely ready, and they're gonna put you through the ringer on different emergencies and stuff. And if you're not ready, they're not gonna sign you off. The same thing in jiu-jitsu.
Exactly.
Right? So for everybody that's worried about how fast they're progressing in jiu-jitsu, don't.
Enjoy the process.
Enjoy the process.
Enjoy the process.
Because it is an enjoyable process. Let's talk about competition. And say, we've got, someone comes in, they want to compete in jiu-jitsu. What kind of mindset do they need to have from the beginning? Because it can't be all out like, I'm going to go and I'm going to I think it takes even more of a patient mindset to, if you want to compete, here's kind of the roadmap, and it's going to be a little bit, and this is what you need to work on, right?
So if you get someone that has never competed in jiu-jitsu before, there's two sides of the coin. They're going to win or they're going to lose, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the process that they have to do is, the first thing is make sure that they're signed up. Because
Rule number one.
rule number one, sign up, make sure that you are really into it. Because you can say, I want to compete, but you never sign up.
Mm-hmm.
And you're going to be on that for many years.
Mm-hmm.
The second rule is make sure you set a goal, that you talk to your instructor and make sure that you're in the right weight, right age, and right ranking for yourself, right? So if you're a white belt, make sure your professor and your coach understands what age group they are and which weight you want to do. Because maybe that can be something that's going to motivate you to lose some weight, right? And then the third thing is you won't remember anything that's going to happen in the competition.
I can vouch for that. I can vouch.
You're going to train as much as you can. You're going to put in all situations as possible, but it's your first competition.
Yeah.
So you're not going to remember anything that you did. You're going to try, but you're going to make sure you're going to learn how to work under pressure, right? And a lot of us need to do that, especially yourself, right? So you're on a plane, right? Something's going on. You have to make sure you maintain your control under a certain amount of pressure. And that's what the competition does.
That's one thing I loved about competition was, number one, I didn't know, you guys kind of briefed me up on what to expect, but going through a competition, all the senses are different. It feels different. It smells different. The intensity is kind of different, even though we try to simulate that in class and in sparring. It's just different. And
every person is different.
Every person's different, and you have to go through that to kind of get that experience. So now my next jiu-jitsu match, I'm going to be like, okay, I understand. It's like playing football, right? The first time you play a game, you're very nervous. You maybe fumble the ball a little bit because you're nervous. But the second one, and as you play more, you get better and better, and you get more acclimated to those high-stress situations.
Exactly.
That's why I loved it. There's no higher stress. In an airplane, we got an engine fire or whatever, we have procedures. But I don't think there's any kind of simulation for stress like someone trying to choke you out.
Oh, for sure. For sure.
So I highly recommend people try it. Even if it's just in sparring, right? When you get up to that level and you're sparring with your other classmates, I mean, that's even intense,
yes.
Right? So what do you think about older athletes? Maybe they were working out a lot in their younger years, and then life happens, right? Kids, job, high pressure jobs and all this other stuff. And they're like, I need to get back into it. I need to get a fitness routine going, but I don't want to get hurt. So that's why I'm kind of shying away from any martial arts. What would you say to those people?
I would tell them to continue to do it. They try it out because it's something that's their family and life got in the way, right? Depending on where their path went, they're gonna have stress, right? They're gonna have to know how to solve problems, and for sure, they have to know how to find a solution to these problems. So, jiu-jitsu is gonna help you with all that. It's gonna help you how to reduce stress, lose weight, stay in shape. Right? It's going to teach you how to have discipline, right? It's going to teach you how to solve the problems that you're facing in your life, right? And you need to, like, let's say you don't talk to no one, you don't have any friends that you like open up to the point, the mats are going to open up the friends for you.
Yeah, that's true.
Right? So you're going to have these people that you're going to talk to that's going to have their perspective in life, that's going to help you. You're going to have your instructors be supporting you as well. So there's a lot of benefits to it, right? So if they're hesitating to train, they shouldn't, because it's something that's going to be beneficial for them, right? So we're trying as human beings to continue to live our lives daily, but understand that we all have problems in our lives, but we need to know how to solve the problem with the right solution, right? And jiu-jitsu is going to teach you that.
Yeah, I agree. The amount of, there's different stressors that you have, whether it's work or family. You're going to feel that on the mats too, but it feels really good when you solve that problem.
Exactly.
Like you do something good in sparring, you're like, man, I tried that technique, it worked, and you had all this, it's like the stress melts away. But not only that, I think it's a good, I love working out. I love being in the gym. I love, pushing the intensity. The intensity that you find on the mat is on a different level. I mean, you just can't push yourself to that intensity level without somebody else there, your training partner.
Exactly.
So I think that's good. But the flip side of that too is, even if you don't want to compete, you're learning a skill, a self-defense skill that, God forbid, you ever have to use it. You have that. That's something that you have that no one can take away.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
Let's get into the women taking classes for BJJ. I'm a huge proponent of that. I think
I am too.
It's something that I think every woman should go through, a self-defense class, and I can think of nothing better than BJJ for that, for several different reasons. And can you explain what you feel? I mean, you're the professor. I'm just outside amateur looking in, and I go, my wife needs to do this. My kids, my girls need to do this, so they have the skill set. If they're ever in a situation, they can fight.
Exactly.
They can get out of it.
So in my point of view, all the women need to train jiu-jitsu. My wife trains as well. That's one of the reasons we brought Professor Hayani into the stage, coming from Brazil.
Yeah.
So anything, like you said, can happen to them, right? It could be from the moment that they wake up, right, to the moment that they step out of the door, right, or to the moment that they're entering their car, right? It could happen any time of their life, any time of the day, and they need to understand that they can do something, right? They can do it, that they're strong enough, right? The community of the society that we have, women in the school, is all to empower the women, right, and to make sure that they can defend themselves, right? So not only that they can speak up too. Right. So I highly recommend that all the women, right, that is maybe watching this podcast is they have to train jiu-jitsu. They have to know how to defend themselves, right? Because if they're married, right, their husband or they have a boyfriend, they're not going to stay with them 24/7, right? And they need to know that they can do something, right? So sometimes they're hesitant. They're like, I cannot do this, or I'm too old, I'm a mother, or they're not confident enough. Right, so women pass through those phases, right? And we, as jiu-jitsu practitioners and black belts, we're here to make sure that we support them and empower all of the women's society to train jiu-jitsu.
Yeah, the thing that I really like that I've seen in my girls are the confidence. When they got their first stripe at the school, they were on cloud 9. They're like, yeah, I got my first stripe. They were so excited, and their confidence level came up. So, I'm sitting on the couch. They'll try to put me in a triangle at home. Like, they'll jump on the couch, and they'll try to get me in a triangle, or they'll try to get me on an arm bar. And, as a dad, I love it. I absolutely love it because I love seeing their confidence level go up. But I also love seeing a skill because as fathers, as husbands, our job is to protect.
Exactly.
And our worst nightmare is something happens to them when I'm not around. I want them to have all the tools, whether it's jiu-jitsu or whatever, that they can defend themselves. Jiu-jitsu being the foundation of it all because, right, you're shopping at a shopping mall, or you're getting in your car from shopping at the grocery store. All these things, I might not be there, but I need you to be able to protect the family, when I'm not there. And
exactly.
That, I think, gives them the confidence and the skill set to at least defend off, and hopefully another, person, which I believe everybody is a protector in this country, right? Like, you need to be a protector. If they see that happening, hopefully someone else who's
exactly.
a BJJ person could come in and help out the situation too. But anyways, that's kind of my thought process on that. We have women's courses specifically to women. So if you don't want to come to the general course, there is a course specific to women.
Yes, to GBF.
GBF.
Exactly. So we have a women's only class. Happens at our school we have it every day. We have Mondays and like Wednesdays, we have a time for them. Tuesdays and Thursdays, we have another time for them. And then we have a class just Fridays. So Fridays, there's no one in the facility and it's just them. The mats are just for them.
Yeah.
And I think all of the women's, not only they need to know how to defend themselves, is they need to be part of a society.
Yeah.
Right? They need to be empowered together. Right? So that's something very special that happens at our location. You know, we have a lot of women together, motivating each other. Like we have single moms, we have moms that are in their 40s and 50s. You know, so they're all motivating, right? We have all the ages of women in the class, and they're all supporting each other, and that's like amazing to see. What jiu-jitsu can do and what a woman's environment and society can do to each other.
It's very uplifting and very supportive.
Yes.
You know, we go back to that family thing again. I see it. You know, I see it when I come in. So can you break down, if someone wants to go and check out Gracie Barra, there's several different schools just alone in Phoenix and in Arizona and throughout the United States. What would be your recommendation on selecting a school?
So first is to see if there's a Gracie Barra next to them, right? After that, if it's not even next to their house, next to their work, right? So once they're there, you know, and they come to a Gracie Barra facility, they are able to train at any Gracie Barra facility at no cost, right? Extra cost. So we want to make sure that every neighborhood that we have has a Gracie Barra school next by, right? So we want to make sure that all the neighborhoods understand the values and understands that jiu-jitsu can be for everyone. So we're here to support Arizona, we're here to support the United States, and we're here to support worldwide, right? So if they go out of town, right, they go and travel to, let's say they travel to California, they can take their visitor's card and train as well. It becomes part of a lifestyle that you are living, right? So like you wake up in the morning, you have your breakfast, and you go work out. We want to make sure that jiu-jitsu is part of you, right? So we incentivize that a lot, incentivize to go to all the Gracie Barra schools that they're close by to understand the professor, their culture, because the method is there, right? But each professor has their different personality.
That's true. What's funny is one of the when I did the competition, the second match that I did, that person, whose name's Jackson, is a Southwest pilot. So, and we actually flew together a week later, and you know, he just the humblest guy ever. And he's like, I want to come up to your school and just kind of roll with you up there. He goes, you should come to my school. It's kind of one of those things where, yeah, we're competitors on the mat, but like we became really good friends. And you know, he invites us out to his school. I haven't done it yet, and he wants to come out to ours and just kind of roll and just kind of see our setup. So I think that's kind of unique in our deal. Another good point that I want to make about that, you know, if you're an airline pilot, you guys travel a lot. You know, I take my card with me all the time. I haven't had the overnight yet where I've gotten out to go, but we have an overnight in Orange County that has Huntington Beach, Gracie Barra, or Gracie Jiu-Jitsu close by. So might want to try that out, but it's an option when you're traveling. You don't need to bring your gi with you. I mean,
no, they have their gis. Like I said, each facility has their different personalities, right? You could take your gi, or you if you cannot take your gi, they're gonna have a gi for you. They maybe have like a fee for you to get, or you can over there and purchase a gi yourself. You know, they're gonna have a pro shop for you, and there's so many benefits to be part of a Gracie Barra facility, right? It's a worldwide known brand. Yeah. You know, so
I love that flexibility though, knowing that it's there. Whenever I go to a different city, now I Google the closest gym close by and see if it's feasible for me to get there. But that's one, I guess, benefit that I really want to highlight to the audience, especially those of you that are out flying on the airlines and you're in the business. Man, take advantage of that, because if you're learning, that's just another opportunity. Just think of it this way: you're like a professional athlete. You're getting paid by your company to go do jiu-jitsu. Just don't get hurt. So, tell me about. My journey is still pretty new. About a year now doing Gracie jiu-jitsu. How is it that, I guess, as an older athlete, what is kind of the progression that you see of an older athlete? I'm not like 60 or anything, I'm 49, but I do notice a little more aches, a little more pains, fingers are getting a little. What are some of the, not injuries, but kind of nicks and dings that you would expect?
So every person, it's different. It really depends on what they did in the past, So, but in my point of view is every single person, depending on their age, their experience, their history, is that you went through that door for a reason, right? You have a goal that it could be a monthly goal. It could be a goal that it's a yearly goal, or in the next 5 years that you have a goal that you want to achieve, right? So once you enter the door and you have that goal, it's about you, right? It's about your journey. It's about your progression at your time. Could it be quick? Could you have some aches, and can your fingers hurt and your back hurts? Yes. Should your training be twice a week, depending on the past of your history? And that's your journey. You should do it. Should it be 3? You should do it. It's not gonna say the progress and your development is gonna be slower than a different person or a younger person. So whoever is at the 40th mark and 50 mark, how much experience did you have in your life?
Yeah.
A lot. Yeah. You're passing that experience on the mats, right? You know your limits. You know until where you can go. So like I said, it's every person has their own journey, right? Every person has their own goal, their perspective. Would they want to compete? Yes or no? You're there for self-defense? Yes or no? You're there to reduce stress? Yes or no? So it's more about yourself than comparison of I'm 49 or I'm 50 years old. It's gonna be a little bit slower for me, or it's gonna be a little bit quicker for me. I think about it's about you. Enjoy the process that you're going through. You're gonna have, by the time you get your black belt, what are the stories you're gonna have to talk to the generation that's below you, right? Is your road gonna be smooth, or are you gonna have rocks through it? You're gonna step on it. Yeah. So that's my perspective of passing on the difference of a 20-year-old or a 30-year-old or a 50-year-old. It's make sure that understand that you enjoy the process, but understand that you know why you came through that door. You never forget why you came through that door.
I like the fact that you have on our cards to have our goals written down back there, because it holds you accountable, right? Like my goal was to go to jiu-jitsu twice a week, and with businesses and airlines and all that stuff, I have found that not only do I go twice a week, I go a lot more than that, because I really enjoy it, right? Like I try to go as much as possible. Here's a question. Do you think everybody should compete at least one event or at least one time?
Yes.
Okay. Why?
You're either going to love it or you're going to hate it. I think if they haven't passed, you said it earlier, in the past, it's such amount of stress that they go through when you go compete, that there's nothing that you can compare that to, right? There's so much people looking at you. Your adrenaline is off of the roof. Yeah. You're stressed. You're like under that you're like underwater, you have a lot of pressure into you, and that could happen in your life. If it could not happen at that extreme, that's the max that's gonna happen, is the competition. So if you face that and you understood how to deal with that, you're ready for anything that could happen in your life.
That's a good point.
You know, so like anything that could happen, if that's the top of the mountain, you should do it. You should try it. Like I said, you're gonna love it or you're gonna hate it, but you pass through that. You have that experience on your books.
Yeah.
You know how to deal with that type of stress, that amount of pressure, that amount of adrenaline in your body. You know how you're gonna react. You're not gonna freak out if you pass through that adrenaline again.
Yeah. No, that's as you're talking about that, I'm reliving my experience in competing, and I've been in a lot of stressful situations, like in the military or playing sports or whatever, but it's always the same in terms of everybody's kind of different. For me, I kind of get like you almost get the air sucked out of you a little bit, but the way that I've noticed to get it back is to just relax and breathe. The simplest thing. Take some deep breaths.
Exactly.
And then
Everything's
go execute.
gonna be okay.
Right? Yeah. Even though, it may not go your way, but when you're talking about competing, you're going to recognize that stress response. And then when it happens to you again, you're going to be a lot more prepared for it.
Exactly.
And when it happens to you again, you'll be more prepared for it. So, yeah, I like the answer of at least try it once and get that experience and get the that sensation of anxiety leading up to it.
Exactly.
The stress, the adrenaline on the day, and then after the event, that adrenaline dump. Because you will never experience anything like that. I don't care if it's in an airplane or whatever.
Never.
It's not the same, right?
It's not.
I've been in emergency use before in airplanes, and it's stressful, but nothing to the level of competing. So.
I've been competing over more than a decade, and I still feel the same feeling.
The same feeling.
I hate it.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I love it.
Yeah.
So it's something that I know it's beneficial for me. Your body needs to have that type of stress.
Yeah.
Because like you said, you need to know how to experience and how to deal with that stress in your life.
Now, you've competed a lot. The list is just flowing since 2012. So what is your, we're talking about stress and dealing with adrenaline, the adrenaline jump, the post-stress. How do you, with so much experience competing, how do you manage that stress?
And in my competitions or in my life?
All of it.
All of it. I'll just do a quick resume of everything. Is I've passed through a lot of stress in my life, from competition through working as a head instructor at a school, leading people, and at the end of the day it's going to be okay. You're going to have to know how to work under the pressure that you're dealing with and solve the problem, right? Could you face a problem that you're not going to solve in the first try? Yes, and it's going to be okay. So how can I compare that in a competition scenario? Could you go over there and win the first match? Yes. Can you get to the finals? Yes. Could you not? No. But it's going to be okay. So that's how I compare that experience of stress that I passed through, that I learned competing through my life that I pass right now.
That anxiety, do you still get the same anxiety
Yes.
before every competition?
Yes. It starts when my name is there.
Oh, really? How do you manage that? How do you manage? Because it's always, it's gone back to the Stoic times, right? It's always worse in your mind than when you actually go through it.
So I have that anxiety before the match, right? The moment my name is there, through all the way that we go to the bullpen, they call you. But the moment that I enter the mat and I put my foot on the mat, it's always the same thing. Is I've been doing this for more than a decade. Everything's gonna be okay. And this is what I love to do. So depending on the results, if I win or lose, people are still gonna love me. People are still gonna be by my side. They're gonna still be my friends. So there's nothing to lose. So the feeling and the experience that I build throughout time, it's gonna be fine. It's gonna be okay. It's something that I do every single day. I train, I teach, I go easy, I go hard, I work out. The person is doing the same thing. The person has one head, 2 arms, and 2 legs.
Yep.
They're gonna be the same thing. They're gonna do everything's gonna be fine. And by the end of the day, depending on the results, it's gonna be okay.
I like that. That's just another person that you're competing against. When I came off the mats, I remember you grabbed me and you said, "Hey," you know, because I was disappointed. I was just like, "Oh man, I can't believe." Like I felt like I had all these emotions. You grabbed me and you said, "Hey, look, you're learning, right? What you learned in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is very representative of what life throws at you."
Exactly.
And learning how to overcome those challenges with all the anxiety, with all the stress, with everything going on, I think makes you a better person. For me personally, I am a defender of my family. So I need to have that skill set to defend my family. And that's, helping me out with BJJ. That's awesome. Also getting in the gym, making sure my fitness is up to the level it should be. And studying, right? Making sure my mind is correct, reading and trying to understand a little bit more. But I love that I put Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu in my life. It's been life-changing, I can't wait to get on the mats when I'm away, and then when I'm done, when I'm on the mats and I finish, it's like, man, that was a good day. That was a really good day. So thanks for what you bring, Professor. Thanks for your leadership there. I think it's a great school. So if you're in the Phoenix area, you're in North Phoenix, come check us out. Gracie Barra, North Phoenix, just off I-17 in Deer Valley.
Exactly.
So on the north side. But any last bits of advice you want to leave our audience?
Thank you guys for watching. Thank you, Ernie, for inviting me. And guys, make sure that Jiu-Jitsu becomes part of your life, like how Ernie mentioned before. And there's so much benefits to it, like we've been talking about. So give it a shot.
I appreciate it. All right. Thanks, Professor. Thanks for
Thank you.
coming on. That's it with this episode of the podcast. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I like to bring on interesting guests that will inspire, motivate, and try to make you a better person, whether that's learning how to sell jets, whether that's working on your fitness or working on a new martial art. I really think that the guests that we try to bring on will hopefully inspire you to be a better version of yourself. So thanks for listening, and thanks for watching. If you're watching, we're on obviously Apple, Spotify, we're on YouTube. I just really appreciate you guys tuning in. So we'll see you on the next one.
Going up, going up, going up, going up, going up.